We are going to learn the programming language of Python with the help of some aspects of data science, right? So first we will try to understand what is Python, why this language is popular, what are the features of this language, why we use this in the industries, what are the learning paths, how you can get started with this Python, and like what are the career opportunities you can get in this language, right? So Python was like developed in 1989 by Sir Van Rossum. Okay, and it's a high-level object-oriented interpreted programming language. Now, three complexity languages or three complexity words are here, right? Like what is object-oriented, what is interpreted, and what is high-level. I'll discuss it. Okay. So Python is a high-level object-oriented interpreted language, and you can say programming language, which is like worldwide or which is having an attention over the worldwide. All right. So this is a general
Sir,
purpose. Yes.
yeah, can you mute them all because your voice is jarring?
One. Okay. Sure. Guys, everyone, please mute your mic. I think everyone is muted, right? So okay, everyone is muted there. So what I said that Python in general purpose is an interpreted language with very easy and dynamic syntax. And why it is easy? Because you will learn, like you will see, like in different programming languages, we have some topics or like we have some aspects where we need to declare some things, right? We need to declare some data types and like all those things. Here we see that these are almost negligible, right? So that is why the things are. So we'll see why the four things are necessary in the Python. See, why is Python popular? Because it's a language which is preferred by the beginners as well as the you can say as pros, like you can say as like the professionals. So this is a language preferred by the beginners as well as the professionals over there, right? This is a language which is an open source. Also, you sometimes call it as FLOSS, like FLOSS. This is FLOSS. This means as free source open source library software. Okay, this is a free library open source software for you. Okay, so this makes free to everyone, and you can use your own methods to develop your own codes. You can like share them to everyone, and you can do anything with that, right? If you are good at good programmer, you can work with that. So the third method is, or you can say the third important term is like the Python can be used in any of the backgrounds. Like you can say you can use these things inside your mobile phones, inside your desktops, your uh, websites, and like everywhere you can use offline, online, anywhere, right? So this is the major use of this language. Another thing is that this language is having a very huge community. This community keeps on building libraries for you guys. We'll start with the libraries. We'll work with a lot of libraries here. Okay, so we'll see. Meanwhile, we'll see. Okay, let me give my introduction. My name is Sumit Kumar Shukla. I'm recently now a research assistant at Google. Okay, so we'll try to get some concepts from the what we do exactly in the Google, right? So this Python is having a huge community. Okay, and there you get help from a lot of things like libraries. There are much of libraries to work with. Okay, okay, we'll see the features one by one. So 1 minute. Yeah. So first of all, we'll see why this Python is called as very why we call this as very simplicity, because here you think less of the syntax of the language and you think more for the codes. Okay, you focus only on the code parts. Okay, so that is why we call it as a simple, or you can say a simple one, right? This is an open source, as I said, a powerful language, and it's free for everyone, and like an alter you can use, like, okay. This is portability. Portability means that you can convert from any other programming language type to any type in the Python, right? Let's say you are writing in the Python language and you want to convert your code in JSON or like CSV or HTML or PHP, any formats, right? So you can convert this. This is called a like portable format, right? So it is also embeddable, and like you can extend, you can like you can just embed anything, right? You can embed this program anywhere, like for the HTML code regarding, right? So this have snippets of other language inside it to perform very certain functions. Now this is interpreter, right? This is interpreted. Why? Because you might understand, right, what is the difference between a compiler and an interpreter. So major difference between a compiler, there are two kind of things, right? Compiler and an interpreter. So what happens, see, whatever the instructions you give to your machine, whatever the instructions you provide to your machine, it is converted into some of the machine language, right? And that machine language is like, if it is a compiler based, we are working in a compiler based program. What happens there, the whole machine language or the whole machine code, you can say, will be converted, or the whole code what you have instructed there, you can say your code will be converted into machine code at once. Okay, the whole code will be converted at once. But in case of an interpreter, if you are writing the same code in an interpreter one, what happens, each line will be converted in machine code one by one. Okay, so that is a major difference. In compiler, everything will be converted once at a time, and interpreter, you will be having it one by one. That's it. And there is, in Python, we have a lot of libraries to work on, like very vast libraries are there to work with various things over there, right? That is why most of the professionals are like working with this language. And this is object oriented, which helps to break down the complex real life problems to like you can work with them. Okay, then we'll see now that where these things are used on, why and which companies, most of which big companies use this. Okay, so Google uses this for their better research, as provided by the ranking of the websites. Okay, like you, whenever you search anything on the Google, what happens? If you have noticed, you're getting some results. Like, let me search anything in the Google. Where is this? Let me search anything in the Google. Let's say I have searched. Let's say I have searched about COVID. So what you can see is something around 63100, results 0.74 seconds, right? So you can see this, right? You are getting a lot of contents over there for better search results based on the ranking of the websites. Also, you will get, so the better the website, you will be getting the first rank there, right? So this happens. This is used by the Python language over there, right? Now Dropbox uses this language as the server and the client applications coding, right? And the most important, the Netflix, you might be knowing about these things, right? There is a concept used of machine learning. Okay, there is a concept called as clustering over the, when you train models in machine learning, there is a method called as unsupervised learning, in which method, that is clustering, comes in picture, right? And this is done using the Python. And that Netflix does, actually what happens, see, when you like register in the Netflix, right? When you make your account there, it asks you to like choose 3 or 4 movies. I think I when I registered, I have 3 interests, right? So it asks you to choose 3 of the movies, right? You take your interest one, right? You choose your interest one, and what happens, let next time whenever you open your Netflix, or like this thing happen with any of the shopping websites, like let's take for Amazon, let's take for Flipkart and anything, right? So what they do, they clusters their user on the basis of their interests. Okay, that is why there is Python used. Okay. Next, there is cyber security analysis of NSA, right? America. They use these things for encryption and decryption of their codes and like their work profiles, right? Next is BitTorrent. You might be aware with this BitTorrent. Like everyone uses this BitTorrent many a times, right? We used to download movies and all those things, right? Many times of softwares and a lot of things, right? So what happens when you download this with the BitTorrent? There might be you might be seeing that the peers-to-peers files are being downloaded there, right? So that is nothing but some sort of Python files which are coded up once and made up one particular file, right? Then the NASA uses this for scientific calculations, and we'll be using this. What NASA's uses this to work on. Okay. Once again, hold on. Yes. plus record. Mhm. Mhm. You have seen Air 529, right? Yeah. So classes are going right now. You you can get you pay there and you can get today's video. Okay. I'm in class. I'll call you after that. I'm in class now. I'll call you after that. I'll listen to you. Okay. Yes. Okay, so we'll be using this scientific calculation to calculate some things over there in the like how NASA does, right? They actually use some libraries over there, like for the NumPy and a lot of that. Right? We'll be going through all that. Okay. Now, what should be the learning path for this Python, right? So, what should be the first step you can take on to learn this programming language? Because it's very interesting, right? So, first of all, we'll go with the variables. What are the variables? First, we'll start to understand what are the basics of this Python. What are the variables? What are the data types and the operators, the arrays and the flow controls? So, like the methods, how we can do, what are the file handling methods, like, and then we'll do some sort of library practice, right, to solve our real life problems. Okay, we'll do that things. So there are some career opportunities in Python, right? There's like who is actually a Python developer, you can ask, right? So a Python developer is someone who designs programs and delivers software applications using Python, right? So some of the most companies have used there, there are some of the uh, once again. So there are a lot of like companies, there are a lot of languages in the market now which are like in the trending, but still you can see like Python is having a very consistent graph over there, and like its growing population is very fast nowadays. You can see this graph over there, and you can work with a lot of sectors like big data, game development, web testings, AI, data science, smart services, including the IoTs, the web development and frameworks, where we use like the Flask and all those things, right? So a lot of career opportunities are there in this Python. And meanwhile, according to the last 2 3 years, now Python has jumped into the first position, and now it's around sharing 28.3 7.3% in the popularity, right? So that's why it's having a job trend, yeah, very quick, right? So in India, what happens in if you see for a job trend in India, so increase in popularity is directly proportional there to the rise of the job market, right? So Python developers everywhere, all the world is like in very demand, right? So an average salary of a Python developer in India would be around 500K. Okay, that is median of like you can convert that. In as compared to USA, it's like $88,772. Okay, so it's $88,000 there. So if we just see convert inside the rupees of that, that's exactly 5 lakh per year of average salary. This is an average salary because see, salaries depend on various factors, right? Everywhere in every fields, salary depends on the basis of their experience, on the basis of their skills, right? So this is an average salary of a Python developer. So if we go with the area wise, if you see the skill wise, so see if you have 1 to 4 years of experience, you'll be getting around 500 plus K. If you have 5 to 9 years of experience, you're getting 1 million, and so you'll be getting like 2 million over there, right? So it also matters on the basis of the location. If you have like in India, the best location we say it to be Gurgaon, right? And then Bangalore, and so does like you can see the average salary on the screen. As well as in the USA, the best one is said to be California. Like it gives almost you can see 1.9. It is 1,900 job postings every month for a Python developer, and you can see the salaries over there. That is dollar 100. 122, sorry, 1022K there, right? So that's great. Okay, and also as I was saying, for the skill set that is important actually. So if you know Python with some of the skills like for the AWS or Django or like machine learning, these things, like then you will be getting much like paid much, right? You will be like given much salaries over there. So how to start now? You have seen like the basics and things, or like we have gained of the concepts. So how to start this thing, over right? So how will we can start these things? Okay. So first thing is like the installation part. Okay. So first of all, you need to install the Python inside your system, and then we'll do some choosing of the ID. So how can you just start your Python? See, in the website, I'll share you a drive link. Okay, I'll share you a drive link so that you can just easily get up to things over there. Meanwhile, if you want to just download it from here, I'll send you a drive link there once again. Yeah. So I'll share this drive link with you guys. What you can do is you can check your system preferences over there. You can take out like the Python 32-bit or Python 64-bit. So and don't like if you download the Python 64-bit, check your system preferences first of all, right? And if you download the 64-bit, meanwhile you have to download the Anaconda 64-bit, right? So see, you can also just you can just like Python, and you can just write on this download. So Python download will automatically work. Like you can accept the Python 3.8.3. Like you can download. So Anaconda is like the same because I have uploaded the latest version of the Anaconda there, right? So you can go with that. That is not a much issue of that. Okay. So that is nice. Fine. So first installation will be done, right? So you'll be going to this website over there, and you will be searching for this python.org. You can go there and you can search for that. Then after the installation, we'll try to see the IDE part. Okay, that is important. While working with any programming language, you need to go with the IDE. Now, what exactly is IDE? See, guys, IDE is nothing but some integrated development environment where you can write. Like, see, considering a very practical example, if you want to create a spreadsheet, what you do, you go to Microsoft Excel, you start working there. If you want to make a presentation, what you do, you go to Microsoft PowerPoint and you start. So for PowerPoint, what you do, you go to sorry, you for presentation, what you do, you go to PowerPoint and you start working over there, right? Similarly, you want to write some Python codes. What you have to do is you will have to go to any particular IDE, and then you will start working over there, right? So IDE will provide you an environment where you can easily work on and you can write your codes over there. So there are a lot of you can say environments which has been made on except or including the official IDE of Python. So if you install these things, what you will see is if you install these, you'll be getting an official IDE, something like IDLE. Okay. So if you launch this one, it will look like a shell over there, right? There you have to write your codes. So IDE typically provides a code editor, and that can be a compiler one or an interpreter one, and debug these things in a graphical user interface, right? GUI you are getting there. So this is an like a shell over there where you can just write your codes over there and you can work on, right? So this is an area like if you write it's 2 plus 3 and just hit enter, you will getting the values like 5 over there, right? So this is an official IDE, but we will not going with much in this IDE. We'll have to work when we have to work in Anaconda. I'll give you a link of Anaconda. Today you do the class, you will get your recordings, right? You see your recordings over there, and meanwhile you can just after the class you have whole day there. You download and you can practice on them, right? So you can download these things. I'll share you the link after the classes, and you can just go through that. Okay. Meanwhile, if anyone is taking the classes from the phone and he is not is having PC or laptop with him, what you can do, guys? You guys also have a facility. You go to this Kaggle, or I say you go to this Google Colab. Okay, write down Google Colab in your mobile phones. You can go to this Google Colab, You open this collab over there, click on new notebook. Okay, once you click on this new notebook, such a good notebook will be open, like some cells over there. You will get the interface bit on. So So this is like you'll be getting on, right? In mobile phone, something will look different on there. Right? So you will have the cell where you'll be writing your codes over there. This play button will actually run your programs, right? So there are a lot of things, and here you don't need actually to save your files. Here you don't need to save your files because this is a Google collab, and what happens in Google products? What happens, guys? See, everything is automatically done over there, right? So you save a you click an image if you have Google Photos in your mobile phone. What happens? It automatically scrapes all the faces from that, and then will create make a group or clusters of these interfaces. You can say, right. So that is done automatically. There are a lot of things we you can see like automatically these are done, right. So this is also saved in your drive. It will be saved in your drive. You can just see over anywhere. Like if you open your drive, you will be getting one folder there that is called that will be called as you can say collab notebooks, and there will be getting some files over there like whenever you start. So those who are not who cannot install Python, or those who are having any difficulties in installing this Python, this will give you a good interface. You can work here. You don't need to install Python and nothing else, right? Here you get like the runtimes. Here you get also some. Let me connect this. We'll be getting RAM and some things over there. Connecting to Python 3, you can see like Google Compute Engine. Okay, Google Compute Engine. This is like you study in cloud computing. What are these things? What are computes? EC2, and all those. So you can see RAM has been allocated of some 0. So RAM of 0.77 GB out of 12.72 GB. So that is like you are getting there, right? Disk space is 30.71 GB. I have used out of 100. I'm having 107 GB of my drive, and out of that I have used some 30 GB. That's nice, right? So meanwhile, you can write your codes over here, and you can run those things, right? So we'll not work in this collab, right? We'll not be working in this collab. If you want, we can work in this collab too. And else, what you can do, you can install Python. Meanwhile, you can go to this Anaconda, and you can search for this. So this is Anaconda, and this is an environment used in the data science field with a lot, because here you here in Google Colab also you can work that say, right. Every environment is special in itself, right, because they are meant to be work with something special. So you click on get started, click on install Anaconda individual edition, and there you click on, just go down, click on download, and you will be headed toward this 64-bit and 32-bit installer. And that's nice. Okay. So you can install accordingly your 64. If you're having a Mac, you can go with this one. Don't go with this, right? This is good one. And for the Linux one, you can go with this, right? So this is coming with 3.8, the latest version you are getting over there, right? That's nice of this all the things. You can, if you install this Anaconda, you'll be getting an interface. After you install, you open this. It will look something like this, right? It will be looking like this. And there we actually need to work in the field of Jupyter Notebook. Okay. So we'll be working in this Jupyter Notebook. If anyone is interested in working with PyCharm or like something editors like that, you can work in PyCharm too, guys, right? So that is like different things. So okay, so we'll start now. So any confusions in any of the steps or anything what you haven't understood till now, so you can ask here. I can use Jupyter for Python. Yeah, sure. You can use. Any confusions to anyone else till now? Any like doubts over there to you? Sure. Okay, fine. So I'm having any doubt. Nice. So, well, see, those who are working with Google Colab, they can work the same thing we'll be working here, right? So, to run the program, so if you write 2 plus 3 here, okay, Collab students, what you do one thing more, because there is one advantage of this Google Colab, because see, you might be you might have heard about this term called CPU, right? That is Central Processing Unit. You might have heard about the GPU, that is Graphical Processing Unit. Similarly, you have a very good terminal, you can say, on like, and no one have actually, you will never get to buy these things, right? Because this is just provided by this Google, right? That is TPU. If you click on runtime, that is actually tensor processing unit, right? And this is very fast as compared to the CPU and GPU, 10 times, or you can say many more times faster than this. So you click on this change run type, and you can select your hardware to TPU. Now, no one this in the whole market will going to give you this, or you can just buy on this. You can buy this. So Google allows you to work with their own processing unit. Okay, so you will be given their own processing unit to work on. Now, if you run your codes here, it will be quite very fast as compared, because this is an online you can say a platform to write your codes and to like run your codes, to check on your codes. And in an online platform, it takes almost a time to run a code. Like when you work with the CPUs, this is quite, you can say, very fast as compared to anything. You run this, see, the outcomes you will be getting is very quick. If you say 3 plus 4, 6, so that is 9. Whoa, what was that? 5. So that is like how you can manage them, right? So we'll be going with this Anaconda. So let's launch this Jupyter. So this will be the interface you'll be getting over there uh, in your particular things, or you can say in your uh, systems, right? So this is like you will be getting in your systems, and you can work with those things. Okay. So first, what we'll do? Okay, you can create a folder with here. You can create a file, text file, terminals, and we'll be dealing with Python. So I have a folder for IBM sessions, right? So what I'll do is, let me close this. Hmm. So what I'll do, I'll click on this Python 3, and that will open. Hmm. So this is like the same user interface you are getting here in this one. Like you are having one dialog box over there, like you can say to prompt box to write anything over there. Hmm. So similarly, you are having these things over here. Here you can write your codes, you can run your codes, right? So see guys, first of all we'll try to learn the basics, right? As I said, we'll be going with the basics one. So the very basics in a programming language is understanding what are keywords, right? So if you are not familiar with what is a programming language, so see, it's a kind just a language over there where I'm not going with the bookish language, right? Because that is like everywhere you can get it out. So programming language is something where you deal with your machines, you try to understand your machines, you let the machines give the empower to understand you, and if we combine all these things, it's particularly a language which you learn to understand your machine. That's all. Okay, that is how. That's a language you need to communicate with your machine, right? So the very first thing we come to know here is like the keywords. Okay, in every programming language. So like this is a like we have almost various 195 plus countries in this world, and every country have some different languages, right? In India only you can see there are lot of languages too. In every state is having every own language. So like there are a lot of programming language which is again in very different terms. So we are learning this one of that language called as Python. Okay, that's like very clear. So what else you can do here? This is your platform of Jupyter. Here you can just click on and you can just edit the name. So I'll write this as you guys for the 5 to 9, right? So 5 to 9 PYDS. Ah, cool. 5 to 9 AUG PYDS. It's great. So this is rename now, right? And nice, like we have created, and it has been 3 minutes to create it. So see here you'll be writing a code that will be an input statement, right? That there are basically 3 steps what you go in your like any computer program, right? You have learned these things from the class 3 or class 4, I think, and that is IPO we call it, right? That's input, processing, and the output example, right? So here we'll be giving some here we'll be giving some inputs over there, and we'll click on this run to run this particular input, and then we'll be getting some output over there, right? And meanwhile, if you don't want to click on this run and you don't want to run every time manually, what you can do is you can use this shift plus enter. You can use the shift plus enter to run your particular cell. This command can be used anywhere in the Python code, right? Anywhere in a Python code editor, anywhere in a Python editor, right? You can use in Google Colab, you can use in Kaggle, uh, you can use in their Anaconda, you can use in this preferences you have to set in the PyCharm, and you can use this command. This is basically very new one. You can use this command even in the official cell of this IPL. Okay.
So, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Okay, so I have opened Anaconda, then I opened Jupyter. But like in yours, it is showing a like a text bar where it shows run and everything, all the options. So I'm just getting the notepad. I'm not getting any of the options.
So you are getting something like this.
No, I opened this. I created a new folder as well.
Okay, you might have created this text file, and this
Yeah.
you might have got this one.
Mhm.
Yeah. So do
Yep.
one thing. You click on this one and click on Python 3.
Okay.
You click there, you'll get that. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Alright. So you can use these things to like shift plus enter to run. Okay, so not wasting much of the time. Now we'll start. So the first thing is the keywords. What I say. So like in every programming language, keywords are nothing but some of the special names that are already present in Python in any programming language, right? These are the names which are used in functions or like any specific functionalities of the when you go to create a program, then you use this special functionality things to work on, right? So these are the keywords. So there, see, if you want to write any heading here, like let me tell you what are headings actually. See, here you can see codes. There is option of markdown, raw NV convert as well as headings. Okay, there you can see all these things, right? So markdown is nothing but kind of heading are similar. Like so, a heading and a markdown will work same. Okay. So see, if you write there one hashtag that stands for heading one, like in HTML we do. If we write on double hashtags that stands for heading two, you can see the size has been decreased. Like if I zoom in, you can see the size has been decreased. If I use three hashtags, that is h3 size, heading 3. So in Python what happens? Heading goes from h1 to h6, right? That means single hashtag will say a main heading, double hashtag subdomain, or you can say subheading, triple one, again a sub of subheading, and like that you can get it. Okay. So our main heading is like today for this is today's session, right? This will be one particular notebook. You will be having every contents here. So this is your 5th August 2020. Okay, this is the main heading. Alright, this is our main heading. Now we'll give some subheadings. So let's say I'm writing for these three hashtags and I'm saying we are going to learn the keywords. So we are going to learn about the keywords. And what I say, keywords are nothing but some special names that are already present in Python. So I'll say it as some special names that are already present in Python, right? So these are some of the special names, as I said, that is present. So see, so if we want to see what are keywords, like, and how many keywords are there in a programming language, like how many are there in Python itself. So there is a command to see the number of keywords. It is you just write on help. Okay, that is help. You write. Help is a kind of a function, right? I'll discuss what are functions and later onwards we'll see to that also. So this is a kind of a function. You give some brackets. This brackets, guys, these are called as parentheses. Okay, these are nothing but we call it as parentheses. So help is a function and you use parentheses. Until and unless you use parentheses, this will not be termed as a function. When you run this, you'll be getting that type help or interactive help or help of any object for that about object. Okay. So if you want to know something about this object, you will have to write the object name and then write this object inside the help, and you will be getting the results, right? So help is just a function which used for an interactive help for you, so that you can, even if you don't get anything on the internet, you can just use help function to get help from that. Alright. So there are a lot of things, as I said, much of things to work on. So let's say we want to see the list of keywords in this Python. So what we'll do, we'll just write help keywords and run this. Alright. So what I am using to run, that is shift plus enter. Okay. And what I'm getting over there, that is here you can see a list of all the Python keywords. So you can enter any keyword to get more help. Like you can write help of false, help parenthesis none, help parenthesis true, help parenthesis and you can get what are these things, why are these things used. So you do one thing, after the class you try all these things, false, class, from, or, none, continue, and see what are these things made of and why these are used. Okay, just write help and like do these things and write those things under the codes. I'll discuss why I'm using things, right? So this is keywords. So these are the keywords which you can't use actually while like saving a name or like or which you can't use just for assigning a variable name. I will go with those things. We'll discuss what are variables and all these things, right? So this is a keyword actually, right? Okay. Now, if you want to check whether anything is a keyword or not, right? Let's say you don't remember what are the keywords, right? You can easily like write help of keywords and you can get access to it. But let's say that you forgot this code, help of keywords, right? Okay, you forgot this one. Now, if you want to write this with the help of a code, you will have to import the module of the keyword, right? You will have to import the module of a keyword, and then you can work accordingly. So what you will say, I want to import the module of this keyword. All right, that is keyword, and then you will see that is keyword dot. Okay, that is keyword dot, and now what I said that you will be checking whether something is a keyword or not. So let's say this is keyword dot is keyword, keyword dot is keyword, and then inside this you write something whatever you want to check. So let's say I want to check whether this COVID, whether this COVID is a keyword or not. So what we'll do, we'll just run this and it will give you a discrete value, or you can say a boolean value. So you're getting some false results because if we see the list of keywords, we don't find any COVID over there, right? There is only these are the keywords. So if you check for a keyword that is correct keyword, so if you say that keyword is keyword, and if you say this for, let's say, for, okay, so I can see for is a keyword here, and also if I run this, I'll get a true result. That is, this is a keyword. Okay, so that is like a keyword, but don't go with this all these goals. Try to remember these things, help of keywords, and every time you can get with that. Okay, that's nice. Now we'll go to another topic, that is like comments. Okay, now we'll try to understand what are comments. So comments are something, guys, you use these, actually you use these things in your programming language or in your codes, in your programs to make things easy, to make things readable, you can say, right? So even if I'm writing any particular sentence and I want to just describe that thing to any of the reader of that project, so what I'll do, I'll write some comments over there. How can he know that what I have done, right? Let's say if you don't know Python, if you don't know programming language, he is from a non-technical background, right? So how can he understand anything what I am writing? So what he will do, he will try to read out any like key points or any of the sentences written there, right? Okay. Yeah. So what you can do is you can use this keyword. Sorry, you can use this comments over there as well. Okay. So let's say this is comments, and what I say, these comments are nothing but some you can say description codes, right? These are the descriptions of the codes. Now see, when you write anything here and you run this, you always get a result, right? You always get a result. See, I have written something here, I have got a result. I have input, I have given some input, I have got a result. In the cell 3, output 3, cell 4, output 4, right? So there we are getting some outputs, right? But if I write a comment, see guys, the only difference is there. If I write a comment, I'll never get any output. Nowhere, okay? You will never get any output if you write a comment. And always see, it's because Python will just ignore the comment. Why? Because Python always ignores the sentence starting from a hashtag. So see the difference? If I use a hash, if I use a hash symbol in this code area, this will be termed, this will be taken as a comment. But if I use the same thing in Markdown, NP convert or heading, that will be not a code, that will be not a program, that will be a kind of heading or something like that. Okay, but we are going to write comment, so we'll write this in code. Okay, so there are two kind of comments. That is one single line comment, and the another you can say for the multi-line comments. Okay. So if we write this as single, or let's say I write this is a single, sorry, line comment, right? And you run this, see no output is there. So you will never get an output for this. even if you write print or any of it, right? So whenever you start anything with the hashtag, you will be never get an will be not getting any output from that, right? And this was a single line comment, right? Similarly, there are multi-line comments. What actually multi-line states? So this is a multi-line comment. So more than one line comment will be termed as multi-line comment. Easy, right? Okay, yeah, run this and you will be getting something like this. Like that is like a good one, you can say. That is like nice to work with. And like comments, you can see like the comments will be used to like describe your codes. You can write anything. Like let's say this comments will be used to describe your codes or lines of your codes. It's nice, right? It's easy. Okay, fine. So that is like a good amount to work. Hmm. Now the next term comes as variables, right? Now we'll try to understand what are variables. This is very important to understand. So see guys, variables are something uh, which are having a specific memory location to store some of the values. Okay. When I'm talking about memory location, I'm saying that whenever you want to create any variable, when you are creating any variable, every particular variable is having its own location, its own address, its own home location, right? Like you are from you all are from various places, right? You all are from various like state or maybe from various cities, right? So you all have some your particular addresses, right? Similarly, like let's consider yourself as a variable. So let's say this is like Sampansina, this is a variable name, and this Sampansina is holding a value of a particular person, right? Let's say this is Jayant, and like you consider, right? You are the, let's say your names are the variables, and those are holding actually values which are nothing but yourself, right? So there is something variables which will be just like a name, you can say, just like a you can say a bunch or like just like any particular word, anything, right? So that will be storing some values, and those will be having some specific locations. So variables are, so you can say these have some specific locations and they store values. So they store values in some very specific location. That is, any time location will not be same until and unless you define. Okay. So let's go to learn what is variable. Let's say I have written x is equals to 2020. I have written y equals to 2021. Or let's say this I have written inside quotes. Let's say I wrote something as uh, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what are these actually? This x, y, and z are the variables which is having some values. Like if we go for searching what is the value of x, that is 2020. What is the value of y and z? That is 2021, and the z value is 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice, right? So how we say that these are having an like specific location? How we can say that these are having some specific location? So to find the location, now I'll give a comment over there. So to find the location, or let's say address of any particular variable, correct? Let me write this. We use a function called as id, right? We use id function. So if we say id of x, you say id of y, say id of z, and run this. So what you see is the id of all the x, y, and z. And are they same? No. Are they same? No. Right? So every of them, if I zoom, you can see on, every of them are having some different values. Okay. So this is like you can see the address of anything. Okay. Now this x is holding some values, y is holding some values, z is holding some values, and those three are of all different kind, or you can say different data types. Now we'll go to the data types. We'll try to understand what are data types, how these things work on, like. So this is basically a variable. I think I'm clear to you, right? Variable, what are variables? I think this is quite clear to you. Now to check a length of any variable, right? So to check a length of any variables, basically let it right to check the length of anything, right? We use something called as, this is very important. Don't go with this what I'm writing is code and all these things, right? These are nothing but some formatting types. This is for formatting, like this is when you get like very interactive to these things, when you get to use a lot of these things, you will like feel easy to write those things, right? This is just a formatted way to write. So to check the length, we use len function, right? So let's say I want to find the length of this z, this z, length of z. So it will say that there are four elements, or there are four characters, or there are four items, right? So in Z, what is there? That is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So count on this. What are this? That's four elements. Similarly, let's say length of Y. You will get four elements. Why? Because this is having 2, 0, 2, and 1. Okay, these are the basic you should understand, because when you whenever you, let's say this is a 5-day workshop, right? You will be getting hands on this Python, but whenever you will learn this in the deep, or whenever you will go for a working project, right, there you might face some of the errors. So that reducing those errors, you should be cleared with your basics. So if I'm saying this is having four elements, that says that this is 2, 0, 2, and 1. What about this x, right? What is x and how this works on? Well, if I say this id, or well, if I say this len of x, this will raise error. Okay, you will get an error over there that says that object of type int has no len. Okay, so keep in mind, keep this as fixed in your like brain, like fix this error. Always do one thing, guys. What is my personal experience when I was learning this Python? What I do is I try to memorize these errors. Okay, I try to memorize this whole screen what I'm getting. Whenever I get an error, I try to memorize what type of error I got and why I got. So if you know why you are getting the errors and what kind of error you will be getting, because many a times what happen in examinations or interviews, you will be given like a question over there, and you will be asked that this question will be giving an error. Can you define what error you will be getting without running it? So then you need to like, so we are just printing the length of n, right? This length or anything you can say, this is saying that type integer has no length. Okay, so now you come to know that this x is having a data type of integer. Okay, so now we'll go to understand what are data types and how those things work. So keep always in mind that len will never, an integer will never give a len of that. Okay, that is very important point. Every time, like student, like forget these things, right? I was like training in a, I was training like in IIT Bombay or something, and I was like dealing with students in the Python projects. They were making some like Gmail interface, and the very silly mistake they have done is this mistake, right? They were just trying to find the length of some phone numbers, and that is exactly not possible unless and until that is different data type, right? So, like if you write a phone number, let's say you have written some 10 numbers over there, and if you want to find the length of a phone number, actually they were doing something like entry, like in the user will input 10 phone number, and if the length of the phone number is not 10, they'll not be proceeding, right? So that was the very basic single step of why the program was not running. That was just a very common error. So this is the first I'm saying you, right, because of that. Every time I deal with that thing, but students forget these things. So try to memorize. Okay, fine. So now we'll go with the data types. See, everything you see in your environment, everything like you see is from the very first day you are born. You are collecting data from your mind, right? You are collecting data in your mind, right? If this is some, if this looks like this is an this is an this, and so like if this is an animal with some four legs, or like it's having a tail and it is living inside the home, that is a domestic animal. It can be a pet, and you very beginning, once you are born, once you go with these things, you start collecting out data every day, every moment, every second, you can say. Like this machine goes with different, the you can say whatever you write in this interpreter or any programming language, whatever you write is a data for this machine, right? And this data is of different types. So you need to understand what are the types of data types in the Python we are having. So mainly we are having uh, numeric data type, string data type. Maybe we are having this as numeric one. We are having one list. We are having tuples, string, set, and dictionary. Now dictionary is one such data type which is very vast, and like dictionary will have a very, you can say, least methods to work on, but it is so much important that it works very well in data structures, algorithms, data science, and all those things, right? So you have properly as 2, 4, 6, like numeric, list, tuple, string, set, and the dictionary. So first try to understand this numeric type. Any problems to anyone? Speaker raised?
No, sir.
Alright. So see, numeric itself has got some three types over there, right? So there are three kind of numeric elements or numeric data types are of three types. So these are one called as integer, sorry, one is an integer, the other is float, and the third is complex. And the fourth one is so much interesting that when I'll go with that concept, you will see that what is it. You might be thinking many a times like how the things come. Well, I'll discuss all later onwards. That is like a surprising or element. Many of you might know, or like many of you might know. Okay, how many of you are from a non-technical background, or how many are just using Python for first time? Everyone? Or anyone who have used before?
So I have used before.
All right. Then you
I have used.
uh, Jayant, Mayank. Okay.
Sir, I have used also.
All right. Great, your Ronald. I have two eyes. Well, good. So for you guys, it might not be a like familiar one, or it might not be the unknown, because you might know that. We'll see. We'll see that whether you know or not. Okay. So we have three types, like integer, float, and complex. Okay. So we will see one by one. So first of all, what is an integer? So see guys, my trainings are like I don't go with any bookish contents. Okay. So integer is something which holds numerical value, and that is not a decimal. That's it. Okay. Any numerical value which is not decimal or not fractional, that is an integer. Okay. So what I said, any numerical value, repeating again, any numerical value without any decimal or fractional values. That is, it will not be having any points, any decimals in that. If I say this, that is, this is an integer. If I say this is I, and if I say this I is equals to 4, this is an integer. If I say, you can also assign different type of variables just by giving a semicolon. If I assign this j to be -4, this is also an integer. If I say this k to be 0, that is also an integer. Okay, understood? So these are the things I can say as. But if I say this, that g equals to 9.8, that is not an integer. Yeah, 0.8. Alright. So any values or any variables holding some numerical values, those are which are like not a decimal or even not a fractional values, that are called as integer. So how can I say that these are integer? If I go to check on the type of I, if I go to check on the type of j, if I see the type of k, what I'll see, everything is integer. Int defines that this is an integer data type. Understood? So that is why here we got an error in the particular thing, that is 2020 will not have any length, because you can't find the length of an integer. Okay, you can't find the length of an integer. You can find the rest of the types, but not an integer. Similarly, not for the floats and like for complex and all those, right? The numeric type will not give any length of that things. The rest of things you can get it there. You can work with that. Okay. So this was integer. Not wasting much more time. Let's go to next. Now we'll go with the float. Now float is just the reverse of this integer. Now this will have every decimal values, every fractional values. Now if any number is not having any decimal values, that are integer, and if it is having, that is a float. That's it, right? So let it be x equals 6.0. Let it be y equals minus 0.5, 0.5. Let's say this k to be, sorry, z to be, you can write any values, right? You can write even 0.0. That's it. Let's see any of one of type. Every type will be same, right? I'm just checking for one of type. Let's say for y. So we'll get it float, right? That these are float. Now there is a third type called as complex one. Now it might be familiar to everyone, right? Complex, right? Complex is nothing, again, in a very simple terms. Complex is a mixture of real numbers and imaginary numbers. That's it, right? A complex is a mixture of real and imaginary. And whenever you see, whenever you write a complex number, let's say this is C and this is D, D is equals to 0j. Let's say we write, not 0j, let's say we write 3j. Let's say we write f equals to 2 plus 6j. And let's say we write g equals to 0 minus 3j, right? So we can write down things like this. We can write down things and like we can just like you can define on things as a complex one like that. So D, F, and G has been defined, right? Now we'll see the data type of that these things actually. So if we write a type of D, if we write this type of F, or if we write this type of G, you'll see complex, 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 right? That is combination of imaginary parts and the real parts. Now to see the real parts of any particular complex number, what you see, write the variable name, see the real part, see the image part. So D is a complex number holding values 3j. Now the imaginary part value is 3.0. Every time you will get a float value, right? By default it's float. Okay. So D is having an imaginary value of 3 and the real part is not there, right? No real part, so this is 0.0. Similarly, this F, if I check this for the F, if I check for the F, I write F dot real, F dot imaginary, and you can see the F is nothing but 2 plus 6j, where the real part is 2 and the imaginary part is 6.0. Alright, this is how it works out. So that is like float, that is complex, and that is integer. Any confusions in these integer float? Unknown, Sunipa is there, I'm new by to Python. Alright,
No, sir.
no worries.
No, sir.
Fine. Okay. Now the next is like random.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Where
Yes.
I am checking the types,
Mm-hmm.
there I am saying that complex, complex, complex.
Yes.
These all are under the first bracket. Why the first bracket, sir?
Okay, why that first bracket? See, uh, in the Python, you are seeing this first bracket, right? So any time if you get an outcome, if it is a function, right? If it is a data type or if it is a function, you will get the outcome in tuples, right? This is nothing but a tuple. I'll discuss tuple is also a data type. We'll go to that also. So every time you will get an outcome in tuples. Understood?
Okay, sir.
Yes. So every time you will be getting an outcome as tuple. Only if it is a list or dictionary, if a different data type. If it is a numeric type, you will be getting. If it is it's a numeric or a tuple, you will always get things in this tuple. Right? If it is string, then also you will be getting it in tuple. Only in the list and the set and the dictionary, these things will not be in tuple. These things will be in different formats. Alright, so I can see some of them have like used this Python. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 of them, probably 5. So have you guys heard about this random number? Yes. How many of you know about this random number? I can see reply Lake has. Okay. So okay, fine. Let me ask you what. See, give me a practical example. What you can do with a random one. What can you do with this random module? Yes, I think Sreshta has done. Yes, Sreshta, can you like lottery? Lottery. Like you can make some random numbers there to like yeah. That is actually a project in Python that is called as guessing number. They will there we make this thing with the random one. Lucky draw we say there. Yes, Ayush or like someone Jayant. No, I'm unknown. Okay, so Sreshta, you, Manish, Ayush, Yet. So you all have used, I think, right? So what have you used with this random? What you did actually with the random? Is any answers quickly? Quickly. We'll have less time, right? It's 9:43. Fast. What have you did actually? Any particular example? Let it be anything. Like okay, say anything, whatever. Yes. What about Manish? What you have done with this random one? Have you used this? What about Shrestha? Have you used this? Like Mayank, what you have done with this random? Lake is saying he has done lottery system. That's nice. Good. What do you guys have done? Okay, I think you must be remembering. No issues. See, now I must tell you. See, you get some Google codes, you get some Facebook codes in your mobile, in your cell phones. You get some codes over there, right? Like this is your one-time Google verification code. And what happens? This is why I started teaching this Google or like this codes in the random is because like once in the training, one student asked how these things comes inside our mobile phones, how these things are actually generated. So I said, see guys, this is nothing but a very basic concept that is the thing what you learned in the first day. That was a random number. So always I say that whatever you learn every day, or whatever you learn every particular day, like from the first day, that is very important. So random is something which will make some random number, right? Random number or random module you can say if you write the help of this. So you will have to import random since it's a module. So we'll have to import. So see, random is something which can generate some random variables. Okay. So there you can get it all with these things. What a random has. What are the things in the random you can do? There are a lot of things in the random triangular, shuffle, set state, and a lot of things, right? So we are not going to with all these things, right? So now there is a math function actually math.gamma and whatever you are seeing there, right? That's math module. Shrestha has done bookkeeping functions. Okay, fine. Okay. So random is basically used to generate some random generations or like variables or like numbers. So that is done with functions of that, right? So first you will have to import this random. Alright. Then you say, let's say you want some random numbers. Mm. Oh, sorry. So you see a random of something and you run this. Every time you will be getting some new elements over there, right? So let's take this too. Right. So you can see, right? Whenever you run this, you will be getting some new number, right? That is a random generated one. Now, this concept is so much useful that you can do a lot of things with this. How? Let me give you an analysis for that. Okay. So now I'll tell you one more concept about something called as range. We'll try to understand range later also, but we'll go with this now.
So what do you mean by asterisk asterisk 100?
Asterisk, yeah, I'll go. This is nothing but I'm just taking a power of this. Okay, this to the power of 100, whatever it is going there. Like, let's say 2 to the power of 3. It's 8. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So these are operators. We'll go to that also. Don't worry. Okay. So what I said, I'll be dealing with one concept called as range. So range is something where you apply. Obviously, you will apply some range over there. Let's say if you write 1 to 2, 1 to 10 in the parenthesis. If you write in the parenthesis 1 to 10 and you say that this is a range. So this is particularly a range of 1 to 10 numbers, not 1 to 10. Okay, you are writing 1 to 10, but it's not 1 to 10. It is actually 1 to 9. So whatever the last element you will write in the range, it will take one less than that. So if you write 11, you will be getting 10. 12, 11, 13, 12, and so on, right? So let's say I'm taking just an very practical example of this random. I think uh, probably or very rarely someone give this example. Okay, so let's say I'm saying this random and I'm using some rand range. Okay, that is nothing but see clearly. I'm using this random module and from there I'm taking a random range of numbers and range I will define. Now let's say I have defined 1 to 10. So every time when I run this, I'll get some random numbers between 1 to 9. So this time it's 7. Run this again 7. All right, run this 4. You can see the difference. 5, 1, 8, 2. So the last number you'll be getting will be 9. So let's see if 9 comes. No, no, no. So I'll keep on running until 9 reach. Okay, reach now. It is not going to reach. I don't think it's going to reach it. Okay, that's like, okay, we are not getting 9 over there. Still, let's do one thing. Let's bring this 9 because I'm very like anxious about any of the things. If I don't get, I just get it there to print it. So I'll let you know why I'm doing this. I just want to see 9. It's not coming, so I'm doing this one.
So over here, you're basically making a loop using for and trying to print it 9 in a list form.
Yes, yes. Because I'm not getting 9 over there. That is, I actually want this 9 to, so that you can understand why this actually take from 1 to 9, and I, okay, I'll do it later onwards then. So you will getting numbers from 1 to 9. Okay, right. So see, whenever you use rand range, similarly there is something called as random dot rand int. Right there you get some random integers over to, right? If you write 2 to 10, again you will be getting random integers, right? The rand range and rand int varies a lot of there, right? So with use of this rand int, or let's say with the use of this rand range, I'll make something like good one what you actually see in daily lives. So let's say I wrote a code, and that is I took random dot rand int, and let's say it's 0, 2, 3, 5, 6. Don't write 0, 4, 6. And let's say it to be 9, 8, 7, 6, something. So you can see total like 6 characters. And now let's print G code verification code. That's it. What you see, isn't it? This is your one-time Google verification code, right? This you see in your mobile phones. That's exactly the same method what Google applies. Many times student thinks like things went, or like things went very complex inside companies, any companies. No, they're very basic concept. This is the concept. Okay, what I did is actually this process might be like not familiar with all of you. Whoever has done Python, that will be familiar with them. So I have taken some random integers. Now see, as I have given range from 2 to 10, I got some single digit numbers. So I have given a range of the 6 digit there. So I might be getting some numbers between that, right? So if you see your code, your code will be this, right? Every time you will run this, you will get a new code. Every time, that will not be a same one, right? And I'll show you. We actually made a project on this we actually made one thing project. I think in data science training it was. No, it was in machine learning training, I think. Let me show you there. It's very interesting actually. So there is sample codes HTML, and we generated around 10,000 codes in one particular day. So you can see like the codes we generated, the machine generated its codes for, and this was a project actually we made there. Okay, the students actually made the project, like they made actually very good, right? So this is how things work on. Like for the Facebook also you get it like that, right? So what you did is just you added up one G, and that's the thing you have done. You have taken str, and I'll brief you this line later onwards. Okay, you have understood this concept, right? That is line number one. I think you might have understood this concept. We'll go to this one later onwards. Don't worry for that. Okay. Similarly, you get the pin from your bank in the same manner. You get some OTPs, or you get some things like the you can say bank numbers. Similarly, for that, you get your ATM pins. Similarly, right? So these are generated automatically and with the help of this. Now, student also have doubts, sir. Random numbers can be saved, right? This can be saved, right? That is correct, obviously. So, how if we send one duplicate code to two users in a day? It can also send some duplicate codes to two users in one particular day if we write it like this. So it might repeat. So for that also we have some precautions. We use some unique codes there to send. I'll let you know. I'll let you know how to use that, because you can see these are actually some unique codes. These are not repeated codes. These are the unique codes what we are having. These are not getting repeated any of the time in any particular day. That's very important why we use these things. Okay, now we'll go to this. Okay, this is how random actually works out. Now let's go to the different data type, right? So numeric data type is completed. Now we'll go to understand what are strings. See, so strings are like anything which you write under this quotes, single quotes, or let it be double quotes. So anything you write in this single or double quotes, or you can say strings are among the most popular data types in the Python, right? So we can create any of the string just by enclosing the characters in this quotes. Let it be any single quote or double quotes, like exactly in the same fashion. This is nothing same difference over there, right? So that is like a string. So we are using this string from the first line of the code. Remember, the first line we have written help of this keywords. This is a string. Understood? This is a string. Many times we have used. So here also in the here also we have used string, right? So string is something like you write inside any particular quotes, right? So let's say I'm taking a name, or let's say this is domain, and I'm saying this is google.com. So if we check the type of this domain, that is a string. Okay, str stands for string. So if you see in this line, okay, let me go again. Now, when we want to print a string, okay, when we want to print a string over there, so there are some of the like rules and regulations of the data types. Okay, it should also have it there, right? There should be some disciplines in every particular thing. So let's say if I'm adding 1 plus 2, there is 3. Nice. If I'm adding 1 plus 1.2, it is 2.2. That is also nice. If I'm saying 1 plus 3j, that is also fine, right? So these all lie in this numeric category, so that these are added up. These are all of the same data type, right? You can say like in the same data type, that is numeric one, right? But these have some individual own data types, but they all lie in one particular data type, that is numeric. Okay, so they are added up there. But what if I say 1 plus Google. Right? That's exactly 1 plus Google. Right? So you got an error again, that is unsupported operand types for int and string. Like the data types, if are different, cannot be added up. That you must know. If you add two different data types, that cannot be done. Understood? So if you write the print function, if you want to print anything, and if you write something inside a string, you will get the exact output as you have written. But if it is a variable, let's say if it is a domain, if it is a variable, you will be getting the value of the variable. But if it is not a variable, you are writing something inside the parenthesis, inside the quotes, you will get the exact thing what you have written. So similarly, and for changing any data type, we'll go with that in the typecasting. Don't worry. Okay. So we'll go with that also. So this is like we can say for what exactly is a variable and what is a string. I think you might have differentiated between things, right? So now we'll go to the directly to the typecasting things, and then we'll learn on the string methods, input, and there are a lot of things to do. So typecasting is something where you interchange the data types, right? You change integer to float, float to integer, string string to integer, integer to string, float to string, complex to string. Okay, so complex cannot be break down into float like integer, or string cannot be just converted in integer float. So let's say I just want to convert this 10 in this float. So the 10 is an integer, right? I want a float of that. So I'll just pass on that this is float, float. So this is a float of 10. So you just pass this float of 10, and that's it. You run this, you will see it 10.0. Now this has been converted into float value. Similarly, if there is a float value and you are saying you want an integer value of that, so integer, what we have, integer without decimal points. So decimal will be removed and only 23 would be returned. Understood? That is an integer. Suppose similarly, if I say complex of 2, so that will be the real part 2, and as I haven't gave any of the imaginary numbers, so that is 0j, right? That is like how it depends how things goes on. If you say complex of any 3.2, that is 3.2 as your real part, and then so on, right? Similarly, if you write a str of 23, that will be a string value 23, right? So that is how you can convert things. If you say str of 45.6, that will be a, so anything you can convert in string, like anything you can convert in complex, and like that is how it works. Now going to this random one, like now you can understand. So what we did is actually we generated a code that is an integer, right? This is a code which is an integer. Now we want to get it printed with the strings, right? This is a string, right? This is a particular string we have written inside this codes. So this is a string, and we want to add this up, right? See, we are adding. So this cannot be added until I convert this code under the string. Okay, that is why I have written str. So this is G, which will be added up with this str, or we can say this code. So G added up with this code, and will again added up with this sentence. That is G of this is your one-time code. So adding in string is something. If you say this to be add, if you say x, something x plus y. So this will be particularly xy. Understood? If you give gaps there, that will be exactly the same things how you write. So x gap y, x gap y. Understood? So remove the gaps, write on the dashes, so x and so on. So this is how string added up. So string actually does not add it up. These are called as like string joining. Okay. Now we'll try to understand the input function, how you can take input function. Okay, fine. So to take input from a user, you will be using the function called as input. Now this works, and input by default stores the data type as a string always. Okay, so let's say you want to take a name of any person. You will just say him, come and enter your name. And that's it. Run this, like a prompt box will come and enter your name. So like enter anything. Let's say write Rohit Sharma. So now if you check your name, if you just print on your name, that is Rohit Sharma. Also you can just check on the, sorry, also you can just check on this type of this name. You can see this is nothing but the str format. That's nice again, right? So that is by default you are storing. Now let's say you want to take some marks of a student, and you want to find the, let's say you want to find the percentage, right? You want to find the percentage from that, or let's say you want to just divide it by 5. That's all, right? uh, you want to take a number from any user, let it be marks still. So what you do is marks can be in float, right? Marks can be 25.0, 25.2, 45.9 and like that. So if you take the marks in a string, you cannot operate with that because data types are not same. You can't divide it by 5 because string is something another data type, numeric is another data type. So that cannot be converted there, that cannot be like divided there or something like that. So what we'll do, we'll say this input enter marks, and then what we'll do, I will just write everything inside this float parenthesis. Now this float, inside this float parenthesis, everything will be converted in the float. Now if you say marks, let's say it's 67.8. So if you see your marks, that will be 67.8, and also if you see the type of this marks, that will be float. Nice. What is the problem? Why I didn't take input? Like because if I take input, what happen? If the user has got 67.8, I'll be only taking the value of 67. So where should I take this inputs as integer? So in cases when you want to take age, many a times what happen, when you apply for things, many a times student does like if he or she is going to be of like 18 or like for 20 or 21, just after 2 days what they write is like their age is 19.8 or 19.9, 19.5, something like I have seen guys writing like that. Okay, so uh, let's say enter age is there. So if you're applying for any like company or like you're applying for army and that, in that case they ask for the age, right? They actually calculate those things by the integer value. So if you write like 23.5, so you will be taking only 23, not the 23.5, right? That will be not taking like any decimal values. There you can take as an integer. Let's say even if you write it as 23.5, it will be raising an error because invalid return for the integer, right? So that will be a problematic situation. So what you can do is let the user write in the float. Don't restrict the user. Let the user write in the float and then you convert that in integer. That's all. Okay. There is an UL literal. Alright. So let the user write things in float. You don't give him any knowledge for that you are taking a float value or integer value. Let him write anything. So when you see your age, you will be getting only 23. And when you see the type of this age, you will be getting only integer. That's it. Okay. So that is like you use your concepts over there. So there you should use actually the functions in a very specific type where you are using. You should see where you actually work, what are the parameters you will be working with that there. Okay, that is how it works. So let's say if I divide, let's say this is a string marks. If I take a string and I divide it by 100, and let's say total marks to be 300, something like this. So that will not be a possible statement for you, right? That will not be a correct writing thing. What if I say this as 23? I'll get something right there, something I'll get there. So that is like operating things. Even if I write 23.2, even if the type is not same, still I'll get something because this is a numeric type. You can't operate with the strings like with that. Okay, that is the difference why we use these things. Now there is many times we when you upload anything. Now we are going to learn about this concept of the strings. Okay, so today I will try to complete the string methods so that we can sum up with things tomorrow and we'll start the data science part. Okay, so string methods, like the first method, if I go with the string, the very first method. So how many methods are there for the string? If you just write on help of this str, you will get it like what are string? Like these create a new object and like you can go with the definitions. I'm not going with that. So how many methods are there? Like case fold, center, count, right? Encode, expand tabs, find, index, format, alpha, ASCII, identify, digit. There are a lot of there are a lot of things. I'm not doing with all. Okay, you can study on these things. I'll provide you this notebook one. Okay, you can. I will encrypt this in a particular website, and I'll give you a link of the website. You can just like read it from there. And let's say I will go with some of the methods. So let's start with something called as index. First, let's understand the term called as index and slicing. So see guys, if I write anything inside is a string, if I write anything, this is same for every data types. Okay, so if I write something like that, and let's define this as a. Now what happens is 1, 2, 3 and till the 0 has got some index positions, right? Right, as it is having an ID, right? It's having an ID also. The whole thing is having an ID. Similarly, every individual element has got some numbers, some position numbers, right? That will call as index values. Their positions actually, where they are staying or like where they are actually located. Okay, so that are position of these things. So like when you start with the left, if you start counting the things from the left side, the position always start from 0. Okay, always the position starts from the 0. You count always start from the 0. If you start from 1, you will say this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Alright, so you will count from 0 and will go till that, right? Always, every time. But if you count from the right hand side, we'll count it as -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9. That's nice. So from the right hand side it would be negative, from the left hand side it will be from 0. Understood? So if I say a of 0, a of 0, a of 0 would be the value that is 1. So what is the 0th position of a? So 0th value of this a is 1. Similarly, if I say first value of this a or fifth value of this a, so fifth value is 6. If you go to see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and this is 6. Oh, sorry, we find for the fifth value, right? That is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and this 5. So 5 is this sixth value, right? You are getting the outcome as 6. Similarly, if you write as a of -5, so -5 is again 6, right? That is from here if you count -1, -2, -3, -4 and -5. That is again 6 over there, right? Similarly, if we say a of -1, that would be the last element, that is 0, right? So these are nothing but some of the index positions. Now, if we go on finding the range of this index positions, we say that we are slicing on the things. We are slicing over that particular variable. Okay. When you start up with the ranges of those things. When you start up with finding the range or the your uh, you can say this index. So that is called as a slicing one. Okay, fine. Let's say this is slicing. Now, how to find the range of the things? Let's say if I'm writing A, I'm saying 0 to 5. So, see, remember the concept again of the range. If you write a range over there, where we write a comma, here we write a comma, colon over there, right? So, if I write 0 colon 5, that states that I want numbers from 0 to 4. Okay? I want a range of numbers of A starting from 0 to 4. So that will just write the things that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you see your A, that is 1, 2. If you see starting 4 numbers, that is 0 to 5 will give you 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. That's it. Okay, you will be getting only these position values. So that is, if you see 0, that is 1, 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 you are getting there. Sorry. Okay. Similarly, if you write as minus 3 to minus 1. So, sorry, P is not there, A is. So you'll be getting 89. How? So minus 3, what is minus 3? So if you write minus 1, you will be getting result still minus 2. Right? It is minus 1 of minus 1. Always the last number minus 1 you will be getting. So minus 1 will be minus 2. So like the minus 3 to minus 1 will be like minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. So minus 3 will be minus 3 and minus 2, that is 89. I think that you might have understood, right? Similarly, there we have passed 2 parameters, like we pass on 3 marks. Okay, let's say A, and let's say 1 to this and this 3. So what will happen? See, now this 1 to 7 is clear to you, right? That is 1 to 6, right? We are getting some numbers from 1 to 6 over there. Correct. But what is this 3? You are going to print this, you are going to find this 1 to 6 in the intervals of 3. Okay. So the number is going to be printed in the intervals of 3. That is, first 1 will be printed, and then the 3 will be done, and then the 6 will be done, and so on, right? So that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So if we see 1 to 7, oh sorry, we have done from 1, sorry. So it will go from the 2, okay? So it will go from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and this is 7. So only till 6 you will be getting that, 2 from 2 to 7, okay? So from 2 to 7, you will be getting in the intervals of 3. So first you will get 2, then up in the intervals of 3, right? So then we'll skipping some 2 values and directly going to the third one, that will be 5. Again, now we'll see that the our length has ended up, right? Our range has ended up. So there is nothing else. So we just got only 2 and 5. But if we just add on the things, let's say 9, now I'll get 2, 5 and 8 over there. If I just say nothing, so I'll get 2, 5, 8, right? This is how we get or slice over the things. Okay. Now we are doing something different. Now let's okay, what's the time? 10:17. I think string methods should be started tomorrow. We'll go with the operators now, so that you can get an idea of operations. Operations are important. So in last, you are also going to give an IBM examinations. That might be easy. Don't worry for that. So what are operations, or let's say this to be commonly called as operators. Nice. Operators. So mainly there are like 6 type of operators. Okay, we'll discuss one by one. So let's say first of all to this arithmetic one. Arithmetic operators is like you perform some natural basic mathematical problems, right? Let's say you have 2 plus 3, that will be 5. 2 minus 3, Oh, let's say 2 minus 4 minus 2. 2 multiplied by 3, 6. 2 divided by 3, 0.6. Now see, in the first three operations, we have used plus, minus, multiplication. We performed with integer, we got an integer. In the fourth operation, we performed with integer and we got a float value. So to remove this float value, like it's a normal division, and you will obviously be getting a float value, fractional value, and that will be a float value. So, but to avoid this, what you will do, you can also write this integer, and you can write this integer of 2 by 3, and you will be getting the integer value. To avoid this integer, what you can write, a float division, that is 2 by 3. So you will be getting only the float, you can say the integer value of that. Okay, for example, let's say if you write 10 divided by 3, that will be probably 3.333 something like that. But if you write 10 this like and divide by 3, getting it only 3 out there. Okay, this is like what is integer and what is like your float division. So this particular 2 slash is known as your float division, or you can say as integer division. Okay. Next we have, let's say, 3 to the power of 3, that will be 27. Okay, you use double asterisks over there to find the powers, one asterisk to find the multiplication. Same if we just say 100 divided by 3, what is the remainder when 100 is divided by 3? 333 multiplied by 3, that is 99, or you will be getting a remainder of 1. Right? That is not completely divisible. But if you write 10 divided by 5, so when 10 is divided by 5, this modulus operator is used to find the remainders. Okay, so 10 divided by 5 will give an remainder, that is 0, because 10 is completely divided by 5 and such no remainder has been left over there. This is called as some arithmetic operators. Okay, these are some arithmetic operators. Next we'll go to see some assignment operators. Assignment is something we are using from the first and second line, right? That is, the first one is like when you assign any values. Let's say x equals to 5. So you have used equals to, that is an assignment operator. And now if I say x is equals to x plus 10, if I say this x is equals to x plus 10, what I mean to say is that this x will be added up with 5 and the value will be stored in the x, right? So if you see my x, that is 15, obviously, correct? So to avoid this x equals x plus, writing these three parameters will reduce one such parameter and will write x plus equals to 10. Now my x value is 15, and I am writing that x plus equals to 10. So if I just print on my x, I'll get values as 25. That is 10 will automatically get added to this 15. So I'm assigning the values. I'm just assigning 10 through this x. Similarly, you can write on for x minus equals to 10. Now 25 minus 10 will be 15. Similarly, x multiplied equals to 5. So 15 multiplied by 5 will be 75. Okay. X divided by equals to let's say 5. So 15 divide by 5. You will get the values as, sorry, this is capital X. You'll get it as 15, right? So you can operate things over there like the similar. Okay. Then we next have the comparison operators. So you can see like the name is actually suggesting that this is something where this operators are where we will be using some comparison. We'll be using something to compare some values, right? We will using some things to compare some values over there. So let's say 4 is greater than 5. Wrong. That's a false statement. Let's say 7 is less than 19. True statement. So two operators are greater than less than. Let's say 3 is equals to 4. Now see, in the assignment operator, when we search for assign any values, that is when you use a single operator, you used to define that this is holding this value. But when you use some double equals to, you check for whether this is correct or not. You check there whether the values between both the sides are equal or not. If you say 3 equals to 4, that is false. But if you say 2 is equals to 2, that is correct. Okay, that is equals to 2. Compare the value and will give you a return of true or false values. Let's say you write 3 greater than equals to 5. False results, because here what will happen, here this will be checked for 2 times. Okay, once it will be checked as 3 is whether 3 is greater than 5, it is false. Okay, then 3 is equals to 5, again it is false. So here we will be getting false result. But if any of the situation is correct, any of the condition is correct, you will be getting a true result. Let's say you are saying 4 is less than equals to 90, 91. So 4 is not equals to 91, but it is less than 91. So you're getting a true result. Like how this is work. This is how it is worked on, right? And this is equals to equals to greater than equals to, and this is a. But if I say this 23 is not equals to 5, right? So 23 value is not equals to 5. If we run this, we'll see a true result because 23 is not equals to 5, right? Understood? This is how it works on, right? Comparison is like this. Similarly, we have one called as logical operators. Now, logical operators are those which are used in the conditional statements. Okay, which are used in the conditional statements mostly. So, see, there are 3 kind of things are there. That is actually and, or, and not. Right? These are the logical one, and, or, and not. So, and is used somewhere, and will return you the true result only if all, or you can say if both the condition or all the conditions you are applying is true. Then only you will be getting a true result. Let's say if your result is true and you are applying it with the true, that is both the sides you are having a true result, you will be getting a true outcome. But let's say even if in one side you get a false result, you will get false. False. That will give you a false outcome. Okay. So and will only work in which place where you have both kind as true. Let's say this 2 is greater than 1 and 8 is less than 19. So both the conditions are true. That will be a true statement. This is how it works. Similarly, there is or. Now, or is a reverse of this and. Here, what happens is you just add up things. You just see. You just check on the things one by one. Once a conditions is satisfied, you will be giving a true result, like either greater than, less than, or equals to, right? Okay. Let's say you write true or false. One condition is true, you will be getting a result as true. But if both the conditions are false, you will get false with it. This is how. And the third one is like not. So if you say not of true, you will get false result. If you say not of false, you will get a true result. That is how these things are worked on, right? The next we have is like membership operator. These are the 4 very useful things. Membership operator is something where you check whether something is lying inside that or not, right? Let's say you have usernames of Instagram. Oh yeah. So in Instagram, you might have noticed that like Instagram, you use some underscores and something like that to make some like names and those sorts of things. Instagram is completely built in Python, so that is why you can't start any of the thing without the underscores. You can't write in the names without the underscores, right? If you want to give gaps, that is not be taken, because in Python, when you want to assign a variable, you can't use gaps there, right? You can't use the spaces between them. You have to provide some dots or underscores over there. That is like how it is exactly built in Instagram. So let's say usernames are there. Someone, let's say there is some Chris, there is some Morris, there is some Gail, something like that. So now this to be taken up in the strings because these are names. And names are always taken, like these things are always taken. Whenever you write some characters, always try to take this in the strings. So let's say these are the usernames, and now if I'm taking for like Chris, whether this Chris is in usernames or not. So it says true. Okay, Chris is there is in username. Let's say I'm checking my name whether this is in usernames or not. So it's saying no, this is not in usernames. But if I write this not in usernames, this says that exactly this is the correct statement because this is not in usernames, and like this is how it works. So not in. Okay. So I think things might be clear to you guys. Okay, right? So these are the four operators, or like some of the operators which are widely used in Python to work on, right? So you should practice these things. You will be like doing some practice over the things. Stop your video.